everybody. Welcome back to the Ball and Breakfast podcast with Wayne. I'm Patrick, coming here for week 4 in the NFL. You've stuck with us to this point throughout the season. You've seen all of our great predictions week to week. They're all loaded up on YouTube if you want to go back and check out a certain game at a certain point in time. But, lately we've had some features. We've obviously gone on stuff about sports, talked about, football through the first 3 weeks. We've done some fantasy predictions lately, and Wayne's going to upload a video that he shot last night with a marketing professional as well, who's dealt with a lot of different athletes and as a brand consultant, et cetera, in sports. So a lot of big things happening over here. Just glad you're with us. If you're on YouTube right now, subscribe, like the show whenever you're done, comment, do the same over on Instagram at Ball and Breakfast. We're also on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. So however you're consuming our podcast, we appreciate it and always like your feedback, your support, everything like that. So without further ado, let's kick off week 4. We got the Washington Commanders going on the road to the Philadelphia Eagles. Wayne, who do you have?
I mean, I got the Eagles here. Surprise, surprise. If whoever the Commanders quarterback is now, if he doesn't survive this, like, I mean, it's gonna be nuts. I feel like it's gonna be a shellacking. Howell got demolished this previous game. I think got 9 sacks against the Bills there. So, I mean, against the Eagles, I might suspect probably the same type of shellacking as well. I am looking at the line. I think it's like -9 here. I might go the over, honestly. Like, this could be a bloodbath. I feel like, hopefully from the Commanders' standpoint, say they can, maybe be able to run the ball or whatever. But I feel like against this Eagles defense, that's going to be a tall order. The Eagles are just kind of humming right now, so good luck to any team that goes against them. But yeah, against the Commanders, coming off that loss against the Bills, I just don't see them prevailing over this. So yeah, I got the Eagles going over on that 9 covering there.
Yeah. I've got the Eagles as well. Final score TBD. And 9 points is a pretty big spread. But in the same sense, Washington did look pretty bad. At home, like you said, the 9 sacks. I think there was 4 interceptions as well. Buffalo and them were actually having a pretty tight matchup through the first half, and then it just kind of got broken open toward the end there. But yeah, I mean, I didn't have great expectations here for Washington. I've said this multiple times now. This is what it looks like when you have a first-year quarterback stepping in, trying to get his feet wet. Wasn't necessarily a top draft pick, a top quarterback that we were looking at coming out of college. Same sense, I think folks are enamored with his rushing ability and his ability to pass. We didn't really see it on display last week against the Bills. Granted, the Bills are the second best defense in the league at this point, so kind of makes sense. But on the flip side of things, Philly going into Tampa, a 2-0 Tampa team, I think folks were starting to call him Baker Mayfield, a top 10 quarterback in some outlets. I think he really did start to show, why he's been on the 4 teams in the last 3 years or whatnot. So, I'm not a Baker Mayfield guy. 80 yards passing, I believe, something along that, those lines. I think he had 1 touchdown. It was looking pretty sad. I think, in general, Philly was able to kind of clamp down and, take ownership of the game on the road. Big win, big win for them. They go to 3-0. I think Jalen Hurts, in general, managed the offense well enough. I mean, I don't think he had like an amazing Jalen Hurts game, but when DeAndre Swift is running for 130 yards, you got AJ Brown out there, Devontae Smith kind of as a decoy or weapon in some games. It's like, on offense they're starting to really utilize a lot of different weapons. Swift is really starting to look comfortable as a starting running back for them, and with Gainwell too, it's like hard to know who's going to be the lead guy, but Swift is starting to break away from the pack there a little bit. Defensively, like week to week, I feel really good about Philly. I mean, they're very, very strong up front. If they have any liabilities, it's in the secondary, but even there, I think they're pretty shored up. So I think Philly's just, one step, in front of the other. I think they're going to be, definitely at the top of the NFC, and it's going to be another exciting year for them. So, at least for this game, I see a lot of see a lot of similar pressure that Buffalo was placing on Howell, coming from Philly here. I don't think Washington puts a ton of points up on the board. Man, now that I think about it, I think they've got that 9-point spread, and I'll go with you there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And man, yes, Swift, how about him? He's definitely stood out there, got him more comfortable in the system as the season's just kind of gone on more of. And yeah, I definitely kind of fell in that Baker Mayfield mayhem there, but I think that's what the whole idea is that I think the Bucks as well as the Commanders, right? They got off both to nice starts because they went against weak teams, right? They went against weak teams. Now they've hit some really competitive teams like the Eagles, right? And it's like, okay, this is like where you need to be. You're right here. The Eagles and all are right here. So, but hey, maybe as the season goes on, they do shore some things up. But yeah, there's still some progress I think to be made for the Bucks over there. But yeah, this game, I don't know. It's gonna be a bloodbath if Sam Howell does survive. That's where I said at the beginning, like whoever the quarterback will be, because I don't know if Sam Howell will be alive by the end of the game. So yeah, it'll be see. There ought to be more of an over under on the amount of sacks. Maybe that's actually a better bet to see what happens there. So, but yeah, Eagles I think win this on a landslide.
Yeah, this is just not a good rebound matchup for Sam Howell. Like you want to be playing the Bears, this week instead of next week, but
Yeah.
I think they take their lumps hard, and yeah, nothing else really to say there. So for our next matchup, we have the Kansas City Chiefs going into New Jersey to take on the Jets.
Yeah, no, this is going to be definitely a fun one there. But yeah, I have to go with the Chiefs here. They're a 9-point favorite on the road, but I think what we saw from the last game with the Chiefs was that they were beginning to develop rhythm, albeit against the Bears and everything, but they were able to develop some rhythm off that. And now going against the Jets, a lot more competitive team, at least on the defensive side of the ball. With Sauce Gardner, Williams and everything, like they still have a lot of the core pieces on the defensive side. So, but I think that this was kind of like a nice practice game against the Bears, right? To go against the Jets, because I don't think the Chiefs and that defense, they've taken a step up compared to where they were last season. And now going against the Zach Wilson led Jets over there, I feel like they're going to take care of business. Maybe create a turnover or two against the Jets offense there, and then on the offensive side of the ball, like I mentioned before, taking a step forward, building off of their victory and their performance last game against the Bears. So maybe Kelsey, I don't know. We'll see if a certain someone is able to go over there. I don't know. I haven't checked out her tour schedule or anything like that, but it'll be interesting. I think what happens. But I don't know if I would go at 9, the Chiefs. I feel like I might go under that. Chiefs tend to have that tendency, right? On the road, especially against a team like the Jets, who they'll have their stops. I think there. Hopefully, the game, at least from the Jets' perspective, doesn't get too out of hand in terms of the turnovers. But I think that the Jets the Jets. I think that they will. They'll make it competitive. But yeah, 9-point favorite. I'm gonna go at the under there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had the exact same thought going into this one. I feel like the Jets have honestly clamped down on a lot of teams except for the Cowboys, at least defensively. So, with KC playing, let's say, not their best offensive football outside of the Bears game, I could definitely see this one being tight on the road. Zach Wilson, he's nearing kind of the end of his leash here. I mean, Joe Namath putting him on blast. I think at the very least, the effort is going to be at 100 from Robert Saleh, from Zach Wilson. I mean, I feel like they're going to be as locked in as they possibly can be. Whether or not that's going to be a difference maker here, like I don't really necessarily think so. But yeah, we're just getting to that point where I think the fan base is getting frustrated. I think that defense is starting to get frustrated in terms of playing out of their minds and just kind of watching the quarterback, watching the offense continue to give it up or, punt it away. So, I see this one being relatively low scoring, maybe somewhere between 17 to 20 points for KC. I would say 10 to 13 points maybe for the Jets. So we'll just have to see. But yeah, KC for me.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely think that. And they had the Chiefs with regards to like the over unders. They tend to just have these big, because who knows like if Patrick Mahomes can like they always have these big spreads, and that's always a tough spot I think for any type of Mahomes type of led team there. But yeah, I guess a tough team like the Jets with that defense, I think they'll keep him in the game here.
For sure. Next one, we have the Atlanta Falcons going on the road against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, no, this is definitely going to be a fun one here. It's like, the Jaguars, they kind of had a disappointing loss there again. It was like a 20-point loss, right, against the Houston Texans. But the Falcons too, like, not the best offensive showing, not the best offensive showing. So kind of two negatives that are coming in here, but it's going to be in London. I know the Jags don't have the best record in London. I think they're 1-4, if my stats are here correct. I think they'll rebound. Hopefully, they can tackle a fullback on a kickoff. I don't know if anybody saw that. That was pretty bad. So I think that they'll rebound. This is the difference maker. I think having good coaching, or at least solid coaching, like a Doug Peterson, right, getting to the heads of the players a little bit there off of this disappointing loss to the Houston Texans, who are definitely seem to be a pretty legitimate team now. But yeah, I think they take care of business. I think the defense gets to Ritter some. I think the Jags, they have the talent to stop the run, which we know that the Falcons are going to try to be doing here. So I think they'll be trying to force Ritter to be passing a little bit more than he willfully wants to. And I think that's just kind of how the game will go. It's at the Jags are, -3. That's a tough one to say. I'm not sure if I'd place a bet here, but yeah, I got the Jags winning here.
Yeah, this one's tough, man. This one's really tough. Both teams kind of playing, uh, to different standards than we probably would have expected on each side for the good and for the bad. Falcons definitely came back down to earth last week. It's like the first time I think their rushing attack was just completely, neutralized. Looked like Bijan Robinson had some struggles. Algier didn't really do a lot on the ground. Desmond Ritter, I mean, if he doesn't have that going for him, I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of him kind of having respectable stats at this point. So hard to know what to make of the Jaguars at this point. I mean, played the Chiefs really tightly, had a pretty big road win against the Colts to lead it off. I didn't really think that was going to be as close as it was, but still prevailed there. And then they just have this really strange kind of beatdown against the Texans, who still haven't established any sort of running game. So it was kind of like, is it against the pass, or do they struggle against the pass? Like if we see them go against the Falcons, who have more of a rush heavy attack, are they going to be prepared more or less for that kind of game on the defensive side of the ball? Offensively, Houston, I don't necessarily think they have a great defense either. So it's kind of like, why did they only put up 17 points? They've got a slew of different weapons. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is supposedly, at least as of right now, probably like a top 10, quarterback in the league and stuff. So it's kind of confusing, to be honest with you. They're playing very uneven football, and man, I don't know. This one's really tough for me. Like, I would consider them the cream of the AFC South, but I'm struggling here. I'll go with them. I'm going to go with them here. I'm going to go with the Jaguars. Reluctantly, I don't really see this one. I see this one being very tight. That's all I'll put it as. I see this one being very tight. I think it's kind of a coin flip at this point between these two teams, and yeah, I'll just reluctantly take the Jags.
Yeah, I mean, it could just come down to like, who makes the most mistakes, right? In terms of like turnovers and such. Falcons have been pretty disciplined in terms of the turnover differential. I think they're +2 here. Jaguars +1. So, they've been on the positive sides there. But yeah, I think that'll come down to that. Bates has been really good. I think he's had 3 interceptions so far this season. So, if he can catch a ball from Lawrence there sometime, that could be a difference maker here. So yeah, it's really going to come down to who makes the least amount of mistakes, right? Go figure. So
Yeah. Plus AJ Terrell's been kind of locking it down as well on the corner. So if he's got Ridley, maybe this is a bigger Christian Kirk type of game, or if Zay Jones is back, maybe he's involved a little bit more. Travis Etienne's been like gobbling up yardage and catches and all sorts of stuff on the ground in the air. So maybe that's another weapon for Lawrence. Jaguars are definitely more dynamic, especially on offense. Defenses, I think they're both maybe not the best units in the league or whatnot, but yeah, I mean, I think logically it's like I just want to pick the Jaguars, but based on like momentum and what's been happening so far, it's kind of hard to read them.
Yeah, for sure. Jaguars, yeah, they've kind of like just I don't want to say like lucked into victories. They kind of just like rolled into some victories here and there, but I still have them as the favorite, I guess, in their division, but they just haven't been playing up to kind of what their potential can be. So who knows exactly what's going to happen, but yeah, I think in this case, Jaguars for me makes the most sense. But yeah, 1 and 2, against this Texans team, that was definitely a bad loss there. Chiefs, it's the Chiefs. Granted, they only scored 9 points there, but then yeah, against the Colts, that was an expected victory, from a quarterback in his first start. So now, yeah, against the Falcons, who they've kind of they've shown a lot of great effort. Their defense, I think, a lot of people maybe underestimated some, and they've really been performing really well. But yeah, it's hard for me to I guess go for a team that's really that reliant on the run game and one dimensional in that aspect. And I just think that maybe the Jaguars have enough personnel to get those stops and make Ritter, a passer, try to like lead his team for a comeback win in the fourth quarter when everybody, like all the pass rushers, are just trying to get to him and kind of make that team one dimensional there.
Yeah. Moving on, we got the Miami Dolphins going on the road to take on the Buffalo Bills.
This is like the game of the week. I feel like this is like two Titans kind of coming into this game. So much momentum. Dolphins in one corner, right, scoring 70 points. The ball boy for the Broncos, right, like coming to facing against Denver, yeah, the team that he was ball boying for, and scoring 70, where he could have kicked that field goal. And people like ask, like, did he actually know? Like, I don't think he would know. Like, I don't know how many people know how many. I know he's a big nerd, but I don't know how many people know like the most points score total in an NFL game. Like, I don't think it's like Will Chamberlain's 100 type of thing, So, but yeah, in terms of the game, man, I think the difference maker here, in my opinion, it's gonna be the secondaries, and I think with the Bills, I think their secondary, it takes a village to slow down Tyreek Hill. I know Waddle's going to be back, and that could be something to look forward to see if they are able to contain Hill, but maybe they go to Waddle and it opens things up. So, but yeah, I think, in my opinion, I think the Bills will prevail from this. I don't know what the score is going to be. I think I was looking at last season. I think both teams won their respective games at home by 3, if I'm not mistaken. So, but for me, gonna take the Bills here. I don't think that the Dolphins are gonna run for 300 yards. I think they'll be slowed down a little bit. But the Bills' defense is just so much more. It's just so much better than that Denver Broncos defense. I think they'll slow them down enough. But this could be definitely a shootout, like 20-30. But I think they'll be able to stop Hill a little bit, slow him down a little bit, and prevail and make enough plays there on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going with the Bills too. That was my thought. I think being at home, number one's a boost for them. I think they've had to kind of go into this matchup with avenging these losses from last year against the Dolphins. I think that that's kind of in mind for them going into this year, set the tone a little bit. Yeah, Miami, for what it's worth, has had an amazing start here with the yardage from Tyreek Hill. Tua's looking really sharp. The running back, uh, you know, duo at this point with HN and Mostert, who right now has the most fantasy points in most circles. So whether you're half PPR, whatever it is. So they've definitely come out of the gates firing. Defensively, I'm not necessarily sure if they can kind of stack up with Buffalo, who does have a really respectable offense. But I mean, like you're saying, Buffalo has really just clamped down to kind of kick off this year. They're a unit that's kind of played pretty well together. They're very deep on their defensive line, even without Von Miller being there just yet. But yeah, I think this is one of those games where Miami just gets a bit of a coming back to earth type of moment. Won't derail their season, won't hurt them in any senses. I think as long as Tua is staying healthy here, I think they're kind of on their way to the playoffs, and hopefully maybe getting a pretty good seed out of it. So yeah, give me Buffalo. I think again, this will be a tight one. Maybe a little bit. What would we say? Maybe like 27-24-ish, Buffalo. So we'll just have to see. But I expect touchdowns. I think 70 points won't be hitting the board from one of these teams.
Yeah, I mean Vic Fangio, still the defensive coordinator over there for Miami, so he's a difference maker there. I think in terms of scheming and maybe slowing down the Buffalo Bills just a little bit. He's probably studying Josh Allen right now. So, one of the best defensive minds in the game of all time. So, but yeah, I just think this will be a fun game regardless. But yeah, the home factor, I think that's going to be the difference maker here. Bills Mafia, I think they'll prevail.
For sure. On to our next one. We have the Denver Broncos traveling to our hometown in Chicago with our Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. Wayne, who do you have?
You gotta go here, man. You gotta go here. Wow. So this is unheard of. This is unheard of. So let me set the table a little bit, right? The Broncos are going to Chicago. So both teams are 0-3. Both teams are 0-3. Both teams are basically recognized as the worst teams in the NFL right now. Yet the Broncos are favored. So the Broncos also, just the last game, gave up the most points and what could be, or almost what was going to be the most points in NFL history in a game. Yet they're favored to win. So for me, I'm going to go with the Bears here. There's been all this shit talking against the Bears. I'm going to go on a limb, and this is going to be, I guess, my upset. But again, both these teams are 0-3. I understand the whole idea that Russell Wilson. I also understand, I think I picked the Bears like 2 or 3 times already, and they've already lost on all those games. So I get all that. I don't have the best track record here. But hear me out. They gave up, like 300 yards rushing this previous game, albeit against, the boy genius Logic over there, who was like the run coordinator over there for the 49ers, and they just ran over the place, right? But with this Bears team, I think they see something with Rashawn Johnson. I think they're all gonna be like, you know what? Fuck it. We got nothing to lose. Let's see what we got with this Rashawn Johnson, who we drafted this year. She has shown a lot of promise. This can be the best friend to Justin Fields as well, who's gotten a lot of shit himself, all warranted. But I feel like with Rashawn Johnson and also with Justin Fields, again, this team last year, maybe Getsy is like, oh, maybe we should run the ball a little bit. Maybe we should roll out Justin Fields. Maybe we should have design runs and go against this team that just gave up 300 plus yards rushing. Oh, what did we do last year? What did the Chicago Bears do last year? Oh, we lead the NFL in rushing. So maybe we can take what we did a little bit of last year and apply it to maybe this current role. So that's what I'm thinking will happen. Will it actually come to fruition? Probably not, just because the Bears coaching has been fucking stupid. So, but I'm gonna go hold on a little bit of hope with whatever Bears hope that I do have for this season, and I'm gonna go on the limb, pick the Bears here. Again, they're favored to lose by 3 points here, so I'm gonna go against that here.
Man, yeah, I'm gonna go with the Broncos. I just feel. I mean, Bears don't even have a defensive coordinator. I mean, I think Eberflus is like picking up the picking up the sheets this weekend, gonna be calling the defensive plays and stuff. And I mean, I just feel like for what it's worth, like Russell Wilson is a professional quarterback. I mean, he's still, despite the embarrassing, loss to the Dolphins, he still put up 300 yards. Got Marvin Mims involved. Was passing it out to Judy Sutton. I mean, I feel like they have some professional weapons there, like Javonte Williams. Like these are all like professional football players, and I mean, the more and more I hear of like stat comparisons of Justin Fields to other quarterbacks that came out of his class and maybe a couple years earlier, it's like I think 670 the score was mentioning like Justin Fields has never thrown for 300 yards at this point, and I think Zach Wilson has a pair of 300 games, by comparison, and then something like he's got like 5 games already in his career where he's thrown for under 100 yards, and I think we saw that last week against Kansas City. So it's just like I don't know. I mean, Denver has statistically the worst defense in the league right now. Chicago's not too far behind in that category as far as yards allowed on defense, but like there's a level of professionalism that I feel like the Broncos have that the Bears don't at this point. I mean, it's been pretty embarrassing out of the gate for Chicago. I mean, I think if like you're saying, I think their best chance is to go rush heavy. Maybe they kind of pull an Atlanta Falcons and just, feed Roshan and Khalil Herbert like all game, have, Justin Fields do, maybe some designed runs. Maybe he's, bootlegging it a bit. But yeah, I mean, it's just hard to count on anything, positive happening from the offense in Chicago and what they can possibly put together. Like I just haven't seen anything that's given me any sort of confidence with this team. Feels like it's kind of in shambles at this point. Not that Denver's having a great time over there. It feels like Sean Payton's like ready to jump ship any minute now. But I don't know. There's just a level of professionalism I think that Russell Wilson can still bring to a team despite the lack of wins at this point. So give me Denver. I you know Yeah, maybe it's a close game, but yeah, just give me Denver.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those like there's one shit show over here. There's another shit show here. Which one's like the least shit show we at least at this point? So, but yeah, no, it's definitely I guess my upset, but yeah, it's one of those maybe this could work out. So,
Got it. We have the Baltimore Ravens going to Cleveland to take on the Browns.
yeah, this is good. This is my type of game. I feel like just gonna be a bloodbath, both sides of the ball, or both teams really, I should say. This Browns team, they've been really impressive at home. They've been really impressive at home. They beat both the Bengals and the Titans by a combined, was it 51-6 at home? So 51-6. Deshaun just came off his best game, against the Titans over there. And I mean, and the Titans have a pretty damn good defense, I would say. Like they usually are pretty good defense, a really well coached team. But Deshaun had a really good game there, so a lot of momentum, I think, going into this game against a divisional rival, right? For the Browns. So, all that being said, and then also I guess the Ravens, they look pretty sloppy. Maybe they do try to bounce back. I think that's like the caveat mentally. Maybe they do bounce back in there mentally. But I'm going to go with the Browns here. Browns are actually favored by 3 here. So being at home, I just think that defense, Myles Garrett, they're going to be able to get and contain or put some pressure on there on Lamar. Maybe Lamar does make a few mistakes. He got really sloppy with the ball last game against the Colts. And, that's kind of one of the reasons why they lost, probably the main reasons why they lost there. So, that's where I feel like the Browns, this defense, again at home in Cleveland, I think they'll bring some pain over there to the Ravens, at least in this game here. So yeah, I got the Browns. Man, yeah, if they've been blowing out both the Bengals and the Titans here, maybe they get a touchdown or something like that, win by a touchdown there. So maybe I'll go the over there.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Browns too. I looked at this one pretty closely. I think Baltimore's had pretty good showing to start the year, but Cleveland is the number one defense in the league right now, and they're showing it. I mean, they are bringing the pressure. They have a really good secondary. I, think for what it's worth, they're doing what they can on offense. I mean, losing Chubb is big. Jerome Ford didn't have, the best debut as a starter. I would say maybe they, bring in a little bit more Kareem Hunt this week. Maybe it's more of a committee, or who knows? Maybe Jerome Ford figures something out and has a much better week. That said, they still have some pretty good weapons on the outside. Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore. It looks like they're definitely being involved in the offense. And Watson, for what it's worth, has had some pretty good games so far, despite a late fumble against Pittsburgh. So at home with a Ravens team that scuffled a bit against Indianapolis. It was like Indianapolis was definitely giving them fits. This is just not a good place to be for them in a get right game, a get right week. So I think they fall here, and Cleveland just continues to stack up some wins early on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Justin Tucker missed a field goal last game, so I feel like it might take more than a week to kind of get over this bad juju that I think the Ravens are going through right now. So
Definitely. Next one up, we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers going on the road against the Houston Texans.
yeah, I went back and forth on this one because I mean, this Texans team, like CJ Stroud, he's gotten better every single game. He's gotten better every single game. I think the pass protection has been there. Barely any sacks against CJ Stroud. I think he's like top 5 in terms of least sacks in the NFL. I believe. And I think they did have tons of last game also too. So it's like, wow, this is a really well coached Texans team. Albeit they don't have like the explosive talent, maybe as some of these other teams. And that's so for me. I feel like they're in a way kind of like how the Cardinals are. That they're kind of overachieving. Like a defensive minded, gritty coach out there has been basically taking a young quarterback and maximizing the talent that they do have. So I feel like that's just kind of what the MO is for both the Texans and the Cardinals right now. So, but I'm going to go with the Steelers here. That being said, I think the X factor honestly is TJ Watt, former defensive player of the year. I think he'll be able to get to Stroud at some point in this game. He is still a rookie. Like let's slow down a little bit on here. He's still a rookie. Him, Fitzpatrick. I think they'll be able to cause maybe a turnover or two in this game. Get him a little bit more comfortable. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I think they'll be able to make plays. I think that's just the Steelers' MO. Well coached team. So for me, sorry Texans fans. Great victory that they had, winning by 20 against the Jaguars there. I just think that for me, it was a little bit more of the Jaguars were just really sloppy here. But I think the Steelers, again, well-coached team. That defense, I think they'll come create a little bit of havoc there. So, yeah, Steelers, I have winning this game.
Yeah, same here. I'm very encouraged by what I've seen from CJ Stroud. I think when we were going through the draft, you guys can all find that video on our YouTube page, but very high on what CJ Stroud could be based on how he played in, the CFP last year. And man, his passing ability out of the gate is so impressive. I mean, he is having a really high completion rate. He's passing for, almost nearly 300 yards a game, really building a great rapport with Nico Collins. Tank Dell starting to become fantasy relevant at this point. You still got Robert Woods there. It's like he's really incorporating a lot of his weapons. I'd love to see that rushing game actually get established, not just because I have Dameon Pierce on my fantasy team, but I think Pierce right now is running maybe 2 yards per carry at this point, and even Devin Singletary is not really establishing himself. So if you're just relying solely on the pass with a rookie quarterback against a smart, savvy team like the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin, he's going to find a way to scheme against CJ Stroud. I guarantee you, he's not going to let Stroud embarrass him. If anything, it's going to be, maybe the rushing attack for the Texans. But yeah, I mean, on the other side of things, the Steelers have had some pretty good wins so far. I mean, that Browns game was, really impressive. Also just, last week going on the road, Sunday Night Football, and kind of taking apart the Raiders. I don't think much of the Raiders, but in the same sense, it's a good confidence booster for them early on. They're definitely showing that they're a competitive team. They've got some good veteran leadership there, like you're saying with Watt, kind of like Patrick Peterson, the secondary. They've got some decent, building blocks here. It's the offense I worry about most, but they'll find their offense, where they can get it, and they'll play well enough to come out of here and, get a W. I think this one maybe is not the most high-scoring game of this week, but Yeah, I think Pittsburgh just clamps down a little bit and gets a gritty win.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I guess yeah. Who's the offensive coordinator for the Texans? Let's get him over here. Let's get him over here. Was it Bobby Slowick, offensive coordinator? He has I'm looking at his resume. Hey, let's get him over here. Has some coaching history against or with the Washington, then Redskins, and then also comes from the Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan tree. Hey, he's doing a great job. Let's see what he's up to, maybe after the season. So great job overall there. But yeah, and I think his dad was a former defensive coordinator for the Bears too. Hey, let's keep it in the family. Let's keep it in the family. But yeah, I 100% agree with you. But great coaching, I think, over there at the Texans right now.
I think that guy's trying to keep a career going for himself. So maybe staying in Houston might be the best thing for him because God knows he takes a couple of weeks with Fields and runs him into the ground or whatever. Chicago's never going to let him near the end of it. So,
Yeah.
um, anyways, Minnesota Vikings going on the road against the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, man, this is two 0-3 teams as well. It's interesting. I think both this game, then the Bears, against the Broncos, right? It's the road team that's actually favored here for both of those games, right? So, but no, I think this one's justifiable. I think the Vikings have been close and competitive in all their games. They've just been turning the ball over a ton. I think that's -7. They lead the league in turnover differential, or I guess the opposite. They're the worst in the NFL in turnover differential. With all the interceptions and all the fumbles, Kirk Cousins, he just hasn't been playing that well there. So, but I think they'll make enough plays here. I think Bryce Young still. I think he's going to be playing. Andy Dalton had a pretty nice game. Maybe they do compete and win if they did have Andy Dalton in this game. But I understand they are trying to develop Bryce Young, who again looks like he is going to be playing in this next upcoming game here. So, but yeah, I gotta go with the Vikings here. I think they'll make enough plays. Maybe not as many turnovers. Maybe they do cause a turnover there with Bryce Young, right? Who is still learning the game in the NFL. So I'll probably go side here, road win for the Vikings. I think it's -4.5 here. I don't know about any of that right now for between these two teams. It's hard to say, but yeah, I'm gonna confidently pick the Vikings here.
Yeah, I'm with you. They're two different versions of 0-3 teams here. I mean, Minnesota's played competitive football, each week. Definitely, the offense is humming, in my opinion. I mean, the third best offense in the league. Uh, Funny enough, like watching that last 2 minutes of the Chargers Vikings game back last week, like the Chargers going for it on fourth down. I mean, on their own like 30 or whatever, like the stupidest play call that I've seen so far, and that's just like classic Brandon Staley there. But then also super confusing is when the Vikings actually got the ball back with less than 30 seconds to go. They were probably inside the 10 and just let the clock drain. They were letting that clock drain, drain, drain. And it was like they had a couple times, they could have called timeout to just, cool everything down, still have like, 30 seconds to make some plays inside the 10. And I think it was like that rush hurry up kind of, threw Cousins off a little bit. It just maybe like added a little panic to a situation that really didn't need to be that. And he threw that pick to Kenneth Murray in the end zone. And I was just like, I was watching that. I'm like, that was idiotic too. I'm like, these are some two really stupid teams right here, like in terms of clock management, game management stuff. So like, I don't know. They came up, short against the Eagles. That was a competitive one. They dropped one to Tampa. Again, very close game. They're in these games. They obviously don't have much defense to show, for any of this, but like they're a good enough team to be pounding the Carolina Panthers this week. And I think they'll definitely, whatever the spread is, they'll blow past that. And Carolina, they're looking far worse than I thought they'd be. Coming into this year, I thought maybe they'd be, the second best team in the NFC South. I think they're clearly the worst team here. I don't know what to expect from Bryce Young coming off of injury, just kind of getting reinserted and see what he can kind of try to establish for himself. But like Miles Sanders, non-factor. Thielen's been respectable. Chark, okay. I just don't see this team, really playing a lot of competitive football this year, and they may come to some sort of point where they're organizationally like, well, they're giving us their draft rights, I guess, for some of their picks. But yeah, I don't know. Like this is just they seem like they just don't have much roster, around Bryce Young, especially on offense. And then, defensively, I think they've had a couple of decent performances, but yeah, against Minnesota, I don't see them having much of a shot here.
Yeah, no, and it's interesting, right? The differences between, I guess, Bryce Young and CJ Stroud with both teams and how they're developing, right? I think I remember. There. I just watched today actually. It was a former, I think, it was director of player personnel for the Bears, and this was like during. He was the director of player personnel like during with Ryan Pace, and when they drafted Trubisky, and he went on about like the whole process and everything. Definitely worth a watch there. But his whole thing was, you can be the most talented quarterback, whatever, right? But the key difference maker if for a quarterback is if you have confidence. And I think right now, with CJ Stroud, they're developing him perfectly. They have the line. They have the line, which I think you need more, maybe even more so than the wide receivers, right? There's been this like whole thing. I guess we look at even Justin Fields with DJ Moore, but how much draft capital and then free agency dollars have gone to the Bears offensive line to help, solidify Justin Fields there. A few draft picks here and there, but they haven't brought in like, Larry Tunsil like they have over there with the Texans. I just think that's just a lot more necessary is that confidence building for a quarterback. And, you also look at Jordan Love. He's playing a lot of confidence over there with the Green Bay Packers. And, that's how the Packers do, right? Is they have a first-round quarterback or second-round quarterback like sit there for a couple of years, learn from some experienced Hall of Fame veteran, right? And then repeat, recycle, right? So, I don't know. I feel like there's just some warnings there. I like what I'm seeing from CJ Stroud, and yeah, definitely not liking what I'm seeing from Bryce Young. That Carolina Panthers situation that he's in does not look good. Yeah, again, without having that first round pick. So, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, it just seems like CJ Stroud is set up for so much more success. They know what they're doing more with him. And then, yeah, with the Bryce Young and over there, I don't know. It'll be sad to see because, he's a shorty, and I got to love the shorties a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, from all that I read, I thought Carolina was coming into this year with a better offensive line too, with Ekwonu at one of the tackles, Moton at the other. I felt like they were pretty high on those two guys as like pillars of the offensive line. I thought, Miles Sanders would be able to establish a pretty good, rushing game for himself, but so far he's been pretty disappointing. So without that, you've got a young Bryce Young, a smaller Bryce Young who's got to like drop back and, dish it out to guys like Thielen and Chark who, again, they're nice complementary receivers at this point, but I don't think they're going to be able to pick up enough load to really bring them over the top. And then Bryce Young's not been healthy. I mean, you got the QB1 Andy Dalton just going out there and being a gunslinger. I think the way he's playing, he should probably be starting again. But in the same sense, like they're not going anywhere, so there's no point in doing that. Like maybe they should trade Andy Dalton to the Jets for some sort of ransom at this point, maybe get some draft capital back. But yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, Carolina, I think they're just going to take a lot of lumps this year, and yeah, this one's not going to go well for them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and they definitely need that explosive wideout. I think CJ Stroud, he's kind of had that with Tank Dell over there, and that wide receiver course. So I feel like they just need some player like that just can get open, is quick on their feet, and can break one here and there. But yeah, with Thielen and like Shark, like those are much more like possession kind of wide receivers. So I think they just need to balance that wide receiver room a little bit more for him. So, but yeah, Mingo hasn't really been healthy from what I recall. So yeah, they just need a little bit more reinforcements there. But I think that's what maybe next year. But yeah, like you said, not having that first round draft pick with Marvin Harrison, maybe Junior being on the board there, like that's a crusher for them for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully the Bears clean up with the Panthers picks and our very own. So we'll just have to wait and see how it all plays out. But next one, we've got the Rams going on the road to take on the Colts.
Yeah, this one again. I went back and forth on this one. but I'm gonna go with the Colts on here. The Colts defense. I think that's one thing I want to call it. The Colts defense has played pretty damn impressive overall. You know, with Shaq Leonard and everything, I think like they've held they've been able to compete against really all the teams. Really excepting maybe Jacksonville. I think that game got a little bit out of hand there, but yeah, against the Texans, against the Ravens, this previous game, able to cause some turnovers here and there. So and the Rams have, I think that's one thing that's kind of lost them games. The Rams, they've been competitive, but similar maybe to, I don't want to compare them to the Vikings, but they've been in games just that they've turned over the ball a little bit too often, and I think that's really hurt them. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Colts here. I think Anthony Richardson might play, and I mean that could definitely be a difference maker. I know he's coming off that concussion, sat last week. Anticipating he comes back this week, and I think he makes a few plays here and there on his feet, and I think that'll be good enough for the Colts over there.
Yeah. I'm going with the Rams here. Like, I hear what you're saying with the Colts. DeForest Buckner's been a force on that front, part of the line for the Colts, and like you're saying with Leonard too. I feel like they're playing very competitive football right now under Shane Steichen. So I mean that's all been kind of fun to watch, just to see. Even like Matt Gay coming out and hitting 4 field goals for 50 or more, and like he was pretty much the offensive MVP of that last game. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Richardson getting reinserted into the offense. I like how the Rams have played, honestly, this year. I mean, they've, stumbled in these last two, but, have played really tight football games against some really great teams. So it's kind of surprising that they are 1-2 based on what I think they have played as. But, the record is the record. And, in general, I just like how Stafford's been controlling this offense. I mean, he felt a lot more pressure from Cincy than he probably has all year to this point. But, you still got Puka. I like how Tutu Atwell has been kind of one of his go-to guys. Higbee got much more involved last game. I like Kyron Williams, too. I think he's kind of been a do-it-all back for them so far. And their defense has been really stingy, too. I mean, only 19 points to the Bengals. I mean, they obviously had a great game against the Seahawks to kick off the year. I think they bounced back here after a tough loss on Monday, and getting the win column.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, this has been a really competitive team. The Rams here, so this. I think it'll be close. I do think I believe the Rams are favored on the road, actually. So yeah, like Vegas obviously thinks that they're gonna win and they're gonna be competing here. So, but yeah, I just have a feeling. I think the Colts. Yeah, it probably is going to be like a Richardson thing where, I think Richardson is a plus at this point. I like what I'm seeing. I like what Shane Steichen's been doing with the Colts. And I think, he'll know what to do with Richardson, how to roll him out so that the Rams don't have just continuously bring pressure on him and he just makes the right reads or, sets himself up for success there. So, but like you were saying, this Rams team, very competitive. Probably I think they had the closest game against the 49ers this year, which is saying something. So, that is a lot, I think, there. But yeah, I'm gonna go stick with a pick, Colts here.
Sounds good. Our next one, we have the Tampa Bay Bucks going on the road to take on the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, and I went back on fourth on this one. It looks like the Saints are the favorites here at 3.5, but the Bucks got demolished by the Eagles. That's the Eagles. That's that's like the best team, the best roster in the NFL there. Secondary got banged up a little bit. I guess that's one thing to keep an eye on. Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis, I think both of them are listed as questionable. And I think both of them left the game, maybe just out of embarrassment, maybe to the Eagles in a way, but. I like the Saints. I like the Saints here. 3.5. I don't know if I would take that or either way, but they got a nice wide receiver group, and yeah, if one of those cornerbacks is missing for the Bucks, I think this reinforced Saints team. I know that they're not going to be having Derek Carr there. Going to be relying on Jameis Winston. but they're gonna get Kamara back, and I think that'll be the kind of the difference maker for them. So being able to make some plays, catching on the backfield, Jameis Winston, like I think that's a godsend for him. He doesn't have to force balls down the field like he did at Tampa, and get 30 interceptions there. Can give it to Kamara, kind of do a little some angle routes here and there, and be able to get some yardage. So I think that'll be great for him, and also be able to run the ball a little bit too against the that Bucks team over there a little bit too. So yeah, I'm gonna go with them. And then also on the defensive side of the ball, Marshawn Lattimore, Alante Taylor, both. I think I read this correctly. I think they're both 1 and 2 for pass deflections in the NFL, in that Saints defense. So I think they'll be able to hold on their own against Mike Evans and Chris Godwin over there. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Saints here.
Yeah, I mean, these are two very comparable teams. I mean, especially with Derek Carr out. I mean, to have Winston, Mayfield, some pretty good weapons for both teams on offense, and pretty strong, defenses as well. Aging rosters for both clubs too. So it's like, I don't know. I see a lot of comps here in both squads, especially with Carr out. They are at home. Winston looked good enough against the Packers. I mean, kind of sad that they fell short there once Carr went out, but in the same sense, like he didn't throw a pick. He was fairly consistent with his passing in the half that he played. And I think for this one, like you're saying, with Kamara back, Kendre Miller's been reliable. I'm trying to think. Tony Jones has had a pretty good start out of the backfield too. I think they go run heavy here, maybe involve some Taysom Hill, go for some shorter passes, just some quick reads. Just keep it simple. Keep it simple for the Saints. I think this one will definitely be a lower scoring game. I think it's probably going to be under that 3.5 spread. So if I was grabbing the Saints, I'd probably have them beating the Bucks by a field goal or less. So I'm not super confident in this one, just given the injury concerns for the Saints. But I think Winston and the Saints can pull this one out at home for sure.
Yeah, I do wonder about like Jameis Winston. It's like this is his revenge game, right? Like he's going against the team that drafted him, so maybe there's a little bit of that in him, and that can go either way, right? Maybe he forces a ball here and there, maybe tries to play hero ball, maybe he gets old Jameis Winston to come back, with the crab legs and everything, and just like forces a ball in there, and then yeah, and then one of the Bucks players picks it off there, so. But, if he plays within the game, within the system, yeah, I think they'll be able to prevail. And yeah, two former, Heisman winners, for number one overall picks right now on different teams with loaded rosters, albeit, both those teams are pretty decent rosters overall. But yeah, I just think that at home, Saints, they will prevail on this one.
Got it. Next one up, we got the Cincinnati Bengals going into Nashville to take on the Titans. Wayne, who do you have?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think that goes without being said right now. This Bengals team, they're slow out of the gate. There's been all this talk, I think, with Burrow. Is he kind of like playing like on like one hip or one leg or whatever? But, I am still going to go with the Bengals here. I just think that they know how to at least be in the game, and then at least right now kind of just will themselves out. I think they developed some they actually looked at Jamar Chase a little bit more, and he got a bunch of receptions this previous game, and I it's like, oh hey, let's pass to him a little bit more often. Higgins, he's had a couple of drops and everything, so I don't know what's going on necessarily there, but yeah, maybe they just rely on Jamar Chase a little bit more, play him out of the slot. So I liked what I saw from there. And then, yeah, hopefully they can take that wording into this game. So, yeah, I'm going to go Bengals over here, for the win. I think they prevail. It probably be a tight one. But, yeah, Bengals over here. I don't know. It's hard for me to, honestly take this Titans team seriously. I just believe that there's going to be a count towards Ryan Tannehill just being removed sometime. And I don't know when that's going to be, but it just seems like things are going that direction right now. And which is kind of a shame for DeAndre Hopkins, such a talented wide receiver, albeit at age 30 now. But yeah, I just feel like that's kind of a ticking time bomb there for a change in quarterback. And yeah, feel pretty good, I think, about the Bengals here overall.
Yeah, I mean, the Titans got absolutely embarrassed last week against the Browns. I mean, didn't even look like a real football team. I think Henry had 20 some yards rushing. Hopkins had, respectable line for, let's say, an aging wide receiver at this point. Tannehill looked terrible. He pretty much has been so far this season. He did last season too, but I think yeah, they're probably just taking their time here until they, kick it to one of their two backups. I'd imagine it'd go to their Kentucky rookie. But yeah, in the same sense, we're kind of waiting and seeing what's going to happen there. That's why I think the Bengals have a much better week this week. I mean, granted, Burrow doesn't go down with an injury or something like that. I mean, they should be beating this team by double digits, and I think this is maybe the week where they step up and do that. So, whatever the spread is for the game, I would tend to take the over for the Bengals. I think last week, especially with the amount of pressure they placed on Stafford, like that was the first game that Stafford wasn't looking sharp, that Nakua wasn't a main threat. I think that, since he's really starting to step it up on the defensive side of the ball, so if that can carry over to a more healthy offense and a regular Cincinnati Bengals offense that we're used to over these last couple of years, I think this might be that kickoff game where they really start to turn it up into high gear.
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of a spread, it's Bengals by 2.5. So, and to your point, like, if everything goes there, like, yeah, 2.5, let's take that. Let's go over for sure. So,
Man, okay, I don't bet. I don't actually make sports bets on any sort of bet. You're out there right now. Put your money down. I mean, I'm putting money down on the Bengals. I mean, I'll give you $50 and just place a bet for me if you can on your portal. But man, that sounds like free money, dude. Go get that money.
I'll send you my DraftKings promo code there. Yeah.
Nice, man. Nice.
Yeah.
Next one up, we got the Las Vegas Raiders going on the road to take on the LA Chargers.
Yeah, hey, divisional game here. Jimmy G got a concussion over there, so we're going to be seeing the backup quarterback to like every quarterback ever, Brian Hoyer. So, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely one of those things where the Raiders, they got their own thing. I just don't like Josh McDaniels. I just don't like him as a coach. I don't think though that the Raiders are like they have some talent. That's the thing. Like I really like Devontae Adams. I really like Jacobs and what their roster overall. But I just don't like their makeup, and I kind of feel the same way with the Chargers. But the Chargers got way too much talent too. So yeah, in LA or wherever the hell they're playing. But yeah, it home game for the Chargers. I think they'll take it. I think they'll make enough plays. Don't screw it up. Hopefully Brandon Staley just does not screw it up, whether it be bad clock management, bad calls here and there for sure. But, I just have a feeling that with that team, Herbert, they're going to blow their way. Like what I saw, getting Keenan Allen, doing a little bit more trick plays here and there. Sure, I think that's cool for them. But yeah, being able just to manage the game effectively against John McDaniels, I think that's just the key to the game for the Chargers. I think they'll pull out in this one.
Yeah, ditto. I thought even though the game was a little bit sloppy, especially play calling wise for the Chargers on the road in Minnesota, their offense looks really good. I mean, they are a top 2 offense in the game right now. Herbert looks pretty flawless. He did lose Mike Williams for the year, so I'm first interested to see, like, is it going to be Quentin Johnston? Is it Joshua Palmer? Like, who steps up as their number 2? Maybe it's a combination of sorts. I know they still have like Gerald Everett that they can go to, or Donald Parham outside of Keenan Allen. But I think Eckler is also in line to return here. If he plays, I mean, this is a smash week for him. Joshua Kelly's been an absolute bust as a backup, and I mean, just kind of like I think they're ready to bring Eckler back and just have like the band all back together and stuff. But if they do, I mean, it's gonna be a bloodbath of like epic proportions. And I don't know what the spread on this one is, but if it's less than double digits, you're definitely going over.
Yeah, it's 5.5 in favor of the Chargers. So
oh my
hey,
God, 5.5,
dude, just do a little. do a little parlay with the Titans or the Titans Bengals game there.
Oh,
Raiders Chargers, make a little dough, make a little cheddar. So yeah, I mean,
all
hey, I
right.
think that's a good call. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's pretend like I'm a serious gambler here. Like, all right, just let's just say, imagine I put $100 down this weekend on those two games for the teams I'm talking about. If I lose either of those games, like, I'll seriously just admit, fault and stuff. But man, I think those ones are gimmies.
Hey, yeah, I give you the promo code. I think for DraftKings, I think we both get $100 in free bets, I believe. So like $25 increments. So you would take that $25 free bet, make it into a parlay with both the Chargers going over against the Raiders, and then the Bengals going over against the Titans here. And yeah, that 25 turns into, I don't know what the math is, but probably like 50, 60, something like that.
Jeez. All right. Well, yeah,
And
we'll
this
have to
this is how
see.
addiction starts.
I know, man. I can't do it. If I go to a casino, I'm so cool with like going to the sports book and doing some bets in person, get to watch the games like on the big screen, have a couple drinks. Like I find that to be like a fun day out. I think,
Yeah.
knowing my tendencies to look up like sports statistics and play fantasy, the immaculate grid, like I'd be ruined, dude, if I did sports gambling. So I'm trying to stay as far away from it as possible on my phone. But anyways,
Yeah.
we got the New England Patriots going on the road to take on the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, this will be a good one. Dallas favored by 6.5 here. Yeah, it'll be competitive, I think. Dallas. Well, maybe I take that back a little bit. We'll see. Dallas, they had a very disappointing loss right against the Cardinals. Cardinals team, like I mentioned before, really competitive. But did I imagine them taking down the Dallas Cowboys, who a lot of people were kind of had them ranked as like top one or two teams out there? So no. Now they're going against the Patriots, who the Patriots they've been competitive in every single game that they've played. With Bill Belichick there, like really methodical, really well coached team. So, um, yeah, I'm still gonna pick Dallas. I'm wondering if this is gonna be like a vengeance game. Like they're gonna be like, you know what, we did not show our best effort out there against the Cardinals. We made played made way too many mistakes. I don't know if they're still trying to figure out life after Diggs basically being out for the year now or what, but they just did not look good overall. Not the best effort, but I think this is kind of a bounce back game for them. I don't know about the whole over under at this point, 6.5. That's against this Patriots team. All their games are really competitive, but this Dallas team, they've been blowing some teams out here and there, except the Cardinals. So, but overall, I'm gonna pick Dallas winning this game, maybe by a field goal, maybe by a touchdown, something like that. But it's really hard to tell there. I think, yeah, Patriots will keep it close. Or, I don't know, maybe the Cowboys blow it up. What do you think, Pat?
They are who we thought they were. They came out and they played the most amazing football of all time. I felt like out of those first 2 weeks, like just completely, bodied those New York football teams, and definitely probably got a little chip on their shoulder, got excited, completely let their guard down, and the Cardinals, you know, with Denny Green, inspiring them from afar, somehow, some way ended up beating this team. And like, I think it's more of a credit to the Cardinals and just how they've played to kind of kick off the year. Like, obviously, I consider them pretty much dead in the water, not really trying as an organization, like trying to turn the page on the Kyler Murray saga, era in Arizona. So like, hard to really know, but like, there's no way Dallas drops a game like that in the way that they did it, especially after their first couple weeks. And like, for me, it's hard to take them seriously. It's hard to take them like, is this team concentrated? Like, is this team, in the zone, ready to, become elite? If we're talking about the elite teams in the NFL, Dallas, that's a bunny. That's like you gotta pound a team like that and just keep it going. And like, yeah, maybe you drop a tough loss like against New England, this week, but at this point, I think like they're the same old Dallas Cowboys team until they show me otherwise over like a consistent amount of games. And maybe what we were talking about on Stuff About Sports is true. Like they could go 17-0, 16-1 at this point, and like they may still just be the Cowboys at the end of the day. So that all said, I mean, it's a revenge game for Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, he was basically, let out the door, in Dallas, and rightfully so. But what I liked a lot last week was Belichick just decided, like, I'm going to play smash mouth football. I'm going to go back to, taking on a team with a really good defense that's, struggling a bit on offense. I'm just going to run that ball, right down their throats. And, we've seen a couple of Mac Jones 300 games so far this year, and definitely doesn't look like him. I think this is more like what New England wants to do on offense, like have Ramondre, Stevenson and Ezekiel Elliott kind of, maybe carry the ball, combined 40 times and just like, just drain clock, play good defense, win the game by a slimmer margin, but, definitely keeping points off the other team's board. And, what they did to the Jets, I think they could easily do to the Cowboys. I mean, I still think Dak is a very mediocre, quarterback option, I'd say. I mean, he's good enough to be a starter in the NFL, but like he's just not that. He's not him. And I think they're still looking for a secondary option. They've got Pollard, obviously they got CeeDee Lamb, but Brandon Cooks looks old. Jake Ferguson's looking encouraging at the tight end position, but it's like they're probably starting to like kind of discover who they are on offense, and it's not really established at this point. I just feel like I love how New England plays. They play so tough. They're going to bring the pressure. The offenses look pretty respectable so far to start the year in the pass game and the run game. So I think by a very slim margin, whatever the spread is, it's going to be a tight one, like you were saying, maybe a field goal. But I'll go with the Pats.
Yeah, hey, that'll be something. Two road wins there. If they can get last game against the Jets and then here against the Cowboys, that'll be pretty impressive. But yeah, it's 6.5 there in favor of the Cowboys. So hey, man, triple parlay, let's get it going, bro.
Oh man, what do I want to do? I want to get in on this right now, man. I need to get in on this.
Sorry, Mrs. Miller. Sorry.
Wow, dude. Unbelievable.
Yeah, this could be a good one.
6.5. All right.
Yeah. But
no, making that out there. Hey, that's 3 in a row right there.
If Bill Belichick, if you're calling it, I'm sure like Bill Belichick, he's thinking the same thing too. Like, let's run the ball, let's run through the throats. Let's not make Micah Parsons being the supreme pass rusher that he is, right? So yeah, why not? Just go straight through the throats and everything, and they got the personnel to do that. So why not? And that can definitely be leading to a victory there. So yeah.
Man, at the very least, I think they're covering that spread. I mean, 6.5 points seems like disrespectful. So, man, yeah, if I was out there, I'd be placing some bets on those last 3 that we just covered. But this next one, we just talked about them. The Arizona Cardinals going on the road into Santa Clara to take on the 49ers. Wayne, who do you have?
Man, this would be something if the Cardinals can beat both the Cowboys and the 49ers in back-to-back weeks. But no, I don't got that. Sorry, Josh Dobbs and everything. Like, I know they traded, a 5th rounder for you, but yeah, I got to go with the 49ers here in terms of the win. Now, let's talk about the cover. This is the interesting one. And you'll be interested in this too, Pat. It's 14. It's 14. I know. This Cardinals team, again, really competitive in every single game. This 49ers team, too, one of the best rosters in all of football. So, you're going to see something kind of turn out here, whatever it may be. But, the 49ers against the Steelers blew them out 37, against the Rams 23-30, and then against the Giants 12-30. So, all those teams, tough teams, I think, or that's just been their DNA. But this Cardinals team, I don't know, it's just like the least, I guess, talented, but it's never stopped them. So I don't know. Maybe you take an under. What do you think, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, that's a big spread, and especially with how the Cardinals have played. I mean, this could be the 4th straight one. I might actually take I might actually like suggest if folks are betting like to take Arizona because yeah, like you're saying, I mean, we haven't seen a game yet where Arizona hasn't been in the game, hasn't, nearly won a ball game too. It feels like in every single matchup that they've been in so far. And yeah, I mean, I like how the Niners are playing so far, but in the same sense, they may take their foot off the gas a little bit. They may not come out, show out the way that they have typically done so far. Now, the Cardinals did just beat the Cowboys, so that might, you know, pick up the chins of the 49ers. Like, I'm sure the 49ers are going to still, take care of business here. I don't think they're going to let their guard down, like the Cowboys did. But man, yeah, just the way that the Cardinals have played, like this, don't doubt us type of attitude. I think they've definitely been playing above their heads. I think that they're rallying around Josh Dobbs. Surprisingly, like Connor's played pretty well out of the gate from what I've seen. The defense has been, you know, pretty stifling across the board. So yeah, this is a different animal though. San Fran top four in offense and defense so far to kick off the year. We can talk about all the guys that we want. The only thing I would say though is we have to see what's going to happen with Samuel and Ayuk because if both those guys are out, that's a different football team. And if the Cardinals can kind of attack the run, you're putting a lot of pressure on Brock Purdy to play pitch and catch with George Kittle or something, or hope that McCaffrey isn't stuffed up at the line or something like that. So that might be interesting. I mean, I think both receivers will end up playing, but just something to keep an eye on for spread purposes.
Yeah, for spread purposes. Yeah, it is at Santa Clara. It is at Santa Clara. The Cowboys, they lost in Arizona there, right? So, something else, another variable to slide in there. But yeah, it's hard to picture like, Kyle Shanahan be like, hey, look, this Cardinals team, we're just gonna like not pay attention to them. Like, well, look what they did with the Cowboys, albeit it's the Cowboys. Let's keep the focus on, let's take care of business, and kind of prevail there. So it's just hard for me to predict an upset. I don't know if the 14 spread, that's a big spread. So, and again, this Cardinals team, they've been in every single game that they've been in. That being said, this is the 49ers. There's no other team that really compares to the 49ers. I feel like not even the Cowboys. So, for me, I've said that this is the best team in the NFL right now. So, even I don't know, them and the Eagles, that's tough to say, but I really just like what Shanahan's doing, what Brock Purdy is, and everything. Like, do they keep? How long can they keep this undefeated streak going? We'll see. So,
Yeah, I feel fairly confident it reaches past week 4 here. At the very least. So
yeah,
another tough matchup to come. Like I might feel a little bit differently about it, but yeah, for this one, I think it's pretty set. The
sounds
last
good.
one we have Monday Night Football. We've got the Seattle Seahawks going on the road to take on the New York Giants.
Yeah, no, I mean, so the Seahawks on the road against in New York. I believe according to DraftKings, the Seahawks are favored by one. So really tight game, I guess, at least from the Vegas perspective. I just don't like the Giants defense, and I think that's the big difference maker for me. You got all these weapons on the Seattle Seahawks. Have they been playing the best? Has Geno Smith been playing the best week over week? No, not necessarily. But I think this offense just has way too much talent for the Giants. I think the Seahawks, if this game was in Seattle, it'd be totally different. It'd be like Seahawks by like a landslide, I feel like, so for me, uh, it could be competitive, but I'm gonna go the over there for sure. Like, a 1 point, you know, maybe a field goal, something like that, or maybe more. But yeah, this Giants defense, that's just been the biggest thing. I just don't like what I'm seeing from them. So gotta for me pick the Seahawks on the road for victory.
Yeah, I'm going the same way. I'm pretty sure here Saquon's still out. I mean, Daniel Jones has looked bad, like looked really, really bad, especially last week against the Niners. Not doing much, from the past. I mean, I haven't really seen much inspiring on the ground. You got Matt Breida back there. I mean, Darren Waller hasn't really been a factor as of yet. Like, there's not much going on in their offense. I think they're a bottom 5 unit in the league. To Seattle's credit, even though they've played some uneven football. I mean, I think they're 2-1, but in the same sense, like, Carolina playing, and they still beat Carolina by 10 points, but like Carolina put a lot of yardage up on the board. I mean, Seattle right now is a bottom 3 defensive unit in the league. The Rams ran all over them, in the first week, and they did have that overtime win, and Detroit was obviously pretty, emotional victory for them as a team. I'm still kind of trying to gain my bearings on like how good of a team they're going to be this year. But offensively, they played, really consistent, really good football so far to start the year. I think they go, into New York and just take care of business. I think they, get the pass established early. I mean, I like their rushing attack with Ken, Walker and Zach Charbonnet as well. So it's like, I don't have any qualms really with like their offense, but New York has just looked, pretty sloppy. They haven't really established much on offense. I mean, their defense is, like you're saying, a little bit fledgling. So, they were a playoff team last year, and I'm trying to find, where that team is, because it just really hasn't looked that great out of New York to start the year.
Yeah, I mean, and this it's interesting now. I think we got to look at is I think Brian Dable, like this is definitely where that coaching kind of comes together. Is like, all right, we've not had the best start so far. Maybe we are able to scrap a victory together. That is something, I guess, that they can try to do. But yeah, at least from what we're seeing right now, it just has not looked the brightest, I think, for the Giants. Their one victory against this this very scrappy Arizona Cardinals team. So that being said, yeah, it's just hard for me to go against the Seahawks. Having that victory against the Panthers, I think they're carry some of that momentum over there to the Giants on Monday night. And yeah, like you mentioned, all those weapons, they're going to score some points, I feel like, here. So,
no doubt. Well, with that, that's the week 4 slate. Please leave comments. Tell us, where we're wrong. Throw some bold predictions up on the board in any of the videos that, Wayne will be kind of dicing up. I guess with that, we can move into some final thoughts. Wayne, did you want to kick it off for this week?
yeah, sure. Well, first off, great hat. Great hat. I just was looking at it. I thought, hey, did you want to like say something there? But it took me a little bit. And I got it. I got it eventually. So, no, it's a great hat. I'm sure you carry that around, to certain parts of the neighborhood, and you get a lot of good looks there. So love it, man. Um, what was my final thought now? No. So speaking of the sports books and everything, and like going to like a sports book, Wrigley, Wrigleyville. Like I actually wanted to go to Wrigley. Go figure, right? With one of my buddies, watched the Monday Night Football game at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Got a nice hat, actually. By the way, we're not sponsored by DraftKings or anything like that. They're way too rich for us. So, but yeah, it was nice going over there. They had some nice food. They had a Nashville fried chicken and everything. Don't want to talk about how expensive it was, but yeah, they had a beautiful screens all around. So go check it out. We've been talking more White Sox fans, even though that's kind of debatable now in a way. But the one time I felt pretty good about going to Wrigley. I actually wanted to go to Wrigley. Was going to the sports books by DraftKings over there at Wrigley. I don't think they take bets at the moment. Actually, I think there's some licensing things, but you got the app, so you really don't need that. I think they even have some internal promo codes that you can use. If you want to start an account there. So definitely check it out. Pat, I don't know. Do you have a good sportsbook experience? I think you talked about, doing some things here and there. But yeah, really liked what I saw from the DraftKings experience over there at Wrigley.
Yeah, yeah, 2 really stand out for me. One was my first time going to Vegas. I think I was 20 years old and had an ID that legally allowed me to be gambling and having fun with all the adults in there and stuff. So like, yeah, don't come after me or anything like that, any sort of like law enforcement units. But in the same sense, sat down at Mandalay Bay in Vegas, had like these really cool kind of like tiki type setup, kind of like these like big straw umbrellas on all the tables and stuff, like really great setup with big screens, and you could get drinks. And I just remember, at least for, Sunday football, I think I sat down and, watched both the 1 o'clock and the 4 o'clock games and stuff, and play some game bets and stuff. I think I actually came up positive too, which was really cool for that time because I think I got cleaned out trying to play Hold'em with some really semi-professional type guys who cleaned me out pretty quickly. But I mean, that's one for me. That was the first, and then the second was pretty awesome. But when I was studying abroad in Mexico, I lived in Guadalajara, and one day me and my roommates were just walking around, and we stumbled upon this casino that we hadn't seen like the first 2 or 3 months of us being out there. And we just walked into this casino, did a full tour, and we just realized like, oh crap, they got a sports book on the second floor. So like, number one, we weren't really able to get like a lot of American sports like while we were in Mexico, so it was like hard to come by. We were watching like a lot of Latin American soccer and stuff on screens at bars and restaurants and everything. But this had like Major League Baseball. It had I think in that time it was baseball and basketball, NBA. So we were just sitting back and like watching games, and I think the beers were free while you sat in there and placed bets and stuff. So it was just like, I mean, we were like 23, 24 years old, and like I feel like every weekend it was like a Saturday, Sunday type thing where we just sit back and catch games and have some drinks and stuff as friends. But yeah, man, sportsbook, I mean, to me it's like it's just like the outing. Like you're going there for the outing. I usually have like a set limit of how much I'm gonna actually bet when I sit down, but it's more about just like watching games, like having some fun with friends, and yeah, if I win some money, like cool.
Yeah, no, for me, it definitely is like the atmosphere. It's like, okay, you just see some random person cheer for whatever, college football game that's happening. It's like, I don't think that guy went to, Tulsa or whatever. I think he just won like $100 or something. So, random things like that. I feel like the energy is pretty good overall there. And then, yeah, if you win, great. If you don't even, like, it's just a good fun. Again, yeah, bet responsibly. Maybe not. Don't listen to us all the time. Listen to us some of the time. Maybe for these bets that Pat was talking about before, or whatever. But yeah, no. Yeah, I just like had a really good time there. Just watching a Monday Night Football game. It was nice because I think it was during this time where it was Monday Night Football. But there's also wasn't a Cubs game too. So for us, it was like, yeah, let's go, let's check it out. Have a good time there. There were several college groups I think there too as well. So yeah. Definitely check out whatever your local sports book is, and yeah, definitely check out the one in Wrigley too from DraftKings.
Sounds good. Yeah, first off, just to make a note on the hat, if you ever attended the University of South Carolina, you don't own this hat, like shame on you. Like even if you didn't go to South Carolina, you should be owning this hat because it's just the best laugh that I ever have, and every time I wear this, I love people's reactions and everything like that. But man, I even felt like when picking schools for my master's, I was kind of like, man, South Carolina is in the mix. Like, go Cox, man, this is awesome. So, love this hat. It doesn't come out like all that often, but when it does, I always feel pretty good. So, yeah, just want to square that one away first. Second, gonna give a shout out tonight on the food front or drink front to Spindrift sparkling water. Spindrift is a brand that just uses fruit, no, sort of artificial flavoring or anything in their seltzer water. I'll be honest with you, it's been a great tool for me to, avoid dessert in a lot of ways. I feel like I have one of these after my meal and it's filling, tastes good. I don't think about dessert or anything like that. So, yeah, I kind of have a sweet tooth. I think like, not to say you can build a diet around it or anything like that, but it's refreshing. I just feel like, yeah, it's kind of like a great addition to any meal. So that's the first thing I wanted to plug. But now I've started to get into it as well because it's also become a really great substitute for alcohol as well. So definitely trying to dial back as much as possible. I need as much energy as I can get every single day for work, life, all this other stuff. So like, it's just been like a great alternative for me, like all around, and love the flavors. They've got lemon, lime, grapefruit. I've tried pineapple at this point. Our friends at Costco provide it in a 3-pack for, I think there's like 24 in the pack itself, but you can get like multi-flavor packs and stuff. And it comes at like under $1 a can. So I think that's pretty respectable these days, given inflation and everything else. So, don't go out and spend, $5 a can on some alcoholic seltzer beverage, at the very least, get these for 80 cents a can, buy a handle of vodka, Tito's if you'd like, and use a shot of vodka in your seltzer water. There you go. You've just saved $3 a can. You're welcome. Anyways, beyond this, the other one I tried last weekend, it was really funny, but my friend came over and he doesn't drink whatsoever. Brought over a 6-pack of Sanzo seltzer water, which had a lychee flavor to it. It was like 100% lychee fruit juice in it with the seltzer water. It was delightful. I had one of those on the night that he brought those over, and by weekend's end, they were gone. So, for some reason, he left the 6-pack at my house. I gave him a Spindrift. He was out of his mind excited because he loves Spindrift. So I was like, this is great. But yeah, I'm definitely moving into like the grandparent phase of, my diet at this point. But like, yeah, I'll just give it a shout out. So I want to kick it back to you, Wayne. Do you we talked about seltzer as being an alcoholic beverage, but do you drink seltzer waters or any variant in your life?
I mean, I definitely do. And Spindrift, I was surprised you kind of brought that because I've been drinking that every time. I feel like this is like a big product placement thing we're doing right now. But I love Sweet Green. I love Sweet Green, and Spindrift is always there at Sweet Green, so I always get it. So yeah, go to Sweet Green. I'm trying to eat healthy too. I was like looking down, like, what is all this? Like, what is all this? I don't get all this. So, yeah, been going to Sweet Green a lot more, and then whenever I go to Sweet Green, I usually get a Spindrift of some sort as well. So, but yeah, no, I think that's good. I feel like we're at this age where, hey, we want to be healthy. We also want to have a good time. We want to get some Spindrift. We also don't want to feel like, heavy hangovers or anything like that. So, maybe we mix in a Spindrift with some other type of, low alcohol kind of content or no alcohol, So I think that's all in good fun. Have a good time. Enjoy a little bit of a fizz. Go to a sports book, watch a game, right? Maybe get some Sweet Greens, eat a nice salad. Like, it's all good. Be healthy. Live a little bit. Like, I don't think they're all mutually exclusive. So, but yeah, all those ones I think you mentioned, I definitely drink. I drink a little bit of bubbly too. It's just like whatever discount things at the store. But yeah, I definitely love my Spindrift over there at Sweet Green.
Awesome. This is awesome. We're making strides in life here as adults, as just healthy beings in life. So yeah, we are completely selling out here. Spindrift, if you are on social media and need a podcast to really support you and lift you up in your brand, come to Ball and Breakfast because we'd love to have you sponsor our show. So I guess with that, everybody, grab some Spindrift, go to that sports book near you, kick back and watch week 4. Some great matchups coming up. If you're still on YouTube with us, give us a subscribe, like the show, obviously, comment on whatever video you're watching. And yeah, if you're in the car listening to us on podcasts, keep it up. We love it. And yeah, we'll catch you next time.